Hi, second grade. You've made it to the end of another week of distance learning. We're going to keep going and keep working hard. Today is Friday, May 22nd, and I'm happy to be here with you today. It's also been very nice to see your faces during our Zoom meetings. I am really happy that so many of you have been able to tune in for those. That's been a great experience. Well, speaking of great experiences, today we are going to read a science spin. If you look on your matrix for today, it says, read the science spin magazine Rocket Man and tell a family member what you learned after reading the magazine. Now, what I would like to do today is I would like to read this together. So I would like you to go and get your magazine from your distance learning packet right now. Please go and do that. And let's read it together, just like we do in school sometimes. I don't have online resources for you for Science Spin, even though it tells you that, that there are some available. I am sorry, I don't have a password for Science Spin, so we'll just read it together. Okay, do you have yours? Do you have any questions when you look at the front? I know I did. I wondered who this man is, and I wondered about his dogs. So let's read together at the bottom on the front. You ready? This is Leland Melvin. Are you looking at yours? He loves dogs, football, and being an, what's that word? Astronaut. Now remember how I talked to you about using the word an? We use an when the next word starts with a vowel. We wouldn't say he's a astronaut. That just doesn't even sound right, and that's not proper English. We would say he is an astronaut, and he's called Rocket Man. So I'm going to move a little closer to the camera and have you look at it with me, just in case for some reason you don't have your magazine. I know sometimes you might be at Grandpa and Grandma's or somewhere else and you don't have your magazine with you. So let's look at page 2. It says up here, space, science. Do you see that our photo has a caption? It says, in space, his food floated. Now, do you have an idea why food would float in space? I bet you know that there is no gravity in space. Gravity is that pull that pulls things towards the earth. And when you're in space, there's no gravity. Let's see, how else could we preview this magazine? I can see the headline, hardest job in the galaxy. I see some subheadings, astronaut training, the rocket launch, working in space. Then I see those important, heavy, bold words that say, look at me, I'm important. Spacesuit, astronaut, oh, gravity, just like I talked about. Let's go ahead and read together. Try to read with me, please. Do the best you can. Okay, here we go. Leland learned that being an astronaut is hard, but amazing. Maybe you think your work is hard. Sure, you have spelling tests. But did you ever have to swim wearing a spacesuit? Or fly upside down and not puke? Leland has. He is an astronaut. That's a scientist who goes to space. Leland didn't know if he'd get chosen to be an astronaut. More than 2,000 people tried out for the job. Only 25 got picked. One of them was Leland. So think about that. 2,000 people wanted the job and only 25 got picked. That must mean he's a really hard worker. I could infer that. I could infer that he is very smart and worked very hard and showed that he has the skills to be an astronaut. So remember when we talked about inferring? The author doesn't come right out and say it, but I could do some inferring. Let's go on and read about astronaut training. Then training started. Leland had to swim across a pool wearing a spacesuit and tennis shoes. That doesn't sound easy at all. He had to keep his head above water for 10 minutes, still wearing his spacesuit. He says, now do you see these quotation marks? When you see those marks, that means that someone is talking. He says, I think I drank about half the pool, but I passed. He passed the test. He had to fly in a jet called the Vomit Comet that swooped and dived, and try not to puke. Leland says proudly, I didn't lose my cookies once. Do you understand why the jet is called the Vomit Comet? Let's continue. Trying hard to get the words right in front of the camera here, but see them at the same time. It says, the rocket launch. Please keep reading with me. Leland made it through training. He was ready for his first space mission. On launch day, he put on his orange flight suit. Leland's parents and high school science teacher cheered, as he boarded the rocket. He was allowed to take a few personal things. He took a Curious George book he'd loved as a kid. Now, do you see the contraction he'd? That means he had. Leland was strapped to his seat. Then it was 3, 2, 1, blast off! The rocket's speed pushed him back in his seat. It was hard to breathe. Then it got easier. Leland looked out the window. Behind him, Earth looked like a beautiful blue marble. Have you ever seen a picture of how Earth looks from space? It does look like a beautiful blue marble. Here's another subheading, working in space. It was time to get to work. Leland had to set up the rocket's toilet. Have you ever thought about that? What would an astronaut do about going to the bathroom? We're going to find out. Toilets in space are tricky. On Earth, we have gravity. It pulls us to the ground and keeps us from floating away. In space, there's less gravity. Everything floats. Do you get what the author is getting at? The toilet had a hose to collect the stinky stuff. Leland got it working. After 3 days, Leland reached the International Space Station. There he helped set up a new science lab. Leland also used a robot to help repair the outside of the space station. That job was hard. It took 8 hours. That's important work, isn't it? Repairing the space station. Let's go on, read with me. When his work was done, Leland celebrated by opening a package of M&Ms. They floated. He caught them in his mouth and smiled. He had made it to space. It was hard, but it was worth it. I see caption up here. Leland took off in this. Wow. Keep studying science and maybe you could be an astronaut someday. So let's look here at the corner information. It says, before he was an astronaut, Leland was a professional football player. It's hard to get picked for both jobs. He was. So again, I can infer that he must be a very hard worker and a good athlete. These words describe football players. Check which are true for astronauts too. Okay. So a football player is hard working. Would that be true for an astronaut too? Yes, for sure. How about strong? Yes, I'm sure he has to be strong and in good shape. Skillful? Certainly, yes. And cooperative. So if you have a pencil, you can put a check mark in each of those. It says right here, Leland played for the Dallas Cowboys. So if you want to know more about him, you could Google his name, Leland Melvin, and find out some more information about him. So now I want to talk to you about what I would like you to do today for your assignment. Now on the matrix, it just says to tell your parents about the magazine. And I would love for you to do that. It'd be even better if you take time to reread it with someone in your family. But here's what I want you to do on your own. I want you to, first of all, go to Seesaw because I made an activity. Click Activities and find Science Spin 5-22. And I think I called it Rocket Man. Science Spin Rocket Man 5-22. And you're going to complete this backside by yourself. And make sure you read the directions on the activity I made because my directions told you that after you're done with doing this back page, you're going to take a picture of it and you're going to use the microphone to read, excuse me, these labels. So read those labels to me. So you want to practice that ahead of time before you record it on Seesaw. I can't wait to hear your reading. Now there's one more thing for you to do on Seesaw today, and it is a memory book page. Now, it doesn't say that on your matrix, but I do want you to get it done today because we have several memory book pages to do, and if we do a little bit at a time, we'll get it all done. So here's the memory book page that I want you to do today. It is called My Favorites. Now, I have done this for many years with second graders, and every time I do this, second graders get a little bit stuck on one of the answers. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the ones you know right away because most of your favorites are right in the front of your brain. You can think of it just like that. But some you have to think about a little bit more. So if you need to think about it, that's fine. Just go ahead and skip it and come back to it later. You could even come back to it tomorrow, but it would be great to get it done today because I have also made a Seesaw activity where you can show me your memory book page. I'm really sad that I don't get to watch you make your memory books. So the best we can do is for you to show me through Seesaw. So after you get this page done, take a picture of it. You could even read all your answers, then I could hear your beautiful voice. So please do that. So go get your memory book page and let's read these together. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, are you ready? It says, my favorite sport. Are you looking at your page? My favorite color. My favorite book. Remember, when you write the title of a book, you're going to capitalize the first letter of each word in the title. Then it says, my favorite author. My favorite food. My favorite school subject. Now, I hope you understand that part of the reason we do this is because we change a little bit throughout our lives. And what might be your favorite food in second grade might not be your favorite when you get to 5th or 6th grade or even 3rd grade. So that's why it's so fun to make a memory book now. It's a snapshot in time. So write what your favorite is right now. My favorite game. Now that could be like a board game or a card game maybe. My favorite toy. My favorite place to be. Oh, I think mine would be in school with you right now. My favorite movie. Again, capital letters on the title. My favorite television show. Capital letters on the title. My favorite song. Capital letters on the title. Don't forget. My favorite animal. My favorite activity. So if you just get some free time, what would you do? What would be that favorite activity? My favorite school lunch and my favorite season. So there you'll write spring, summer, fall, or winter. So just list all your favorites. And like I said, go in an order that makes sense for you. If you get stuck, it's okay. So remember, put that on Seesaw. Let me take a good look at your work. And now it's time for us to do some math together. So go and get your math packet. So we are ready to do math now. And before we do math, I want to make sure to let you know that there is no distance learning on Monday. Monday is a holiday. It is Memorial Day. And so you will not have a video from me on Monday. So take a 3-day weekend, enjoy some time with your family. If you need to get caught up on assignments, that's the perfect time to do that. And then after this, that means there are only 7 days of distance learning left. Wow, it's going fast, isn't it? So we will begin math by correcting your work from yesterday. You were asked to do both sides of this paper, so you can see the first 3 answers. Check yours. And check how you drew the hands. 1:45, make sure the 9 has a minute hand going right through the number. The hour hand should almost be on the 2 because it is 1:45. 5:15 is 5:15. Should have the long hand going right through the number. Short hand just a little bit past the 5. And 12:15 should have the minute hand right through the 3 and the hour hand a little bit past the 12. Read the time. Write the time on the digital clock. You should have written 12:45, 4:15, 9:30. Let's go to the back. For number 13, the answer was 12:15. You had to go backwards 3 hours to get 12:15. You should have circled this clock to show 2:15. Here's your brain builder. Remember, this was a tricky one. They left 1 hour before 11:45, so I helped you and told you that means they left at 9:45. You have to count 3 hours plus an hour for lunch, so they finished lunch at 1:45. If you didn't get that one, that's okay. It was a little bit tricky. Okay, now for the written question at the bottom. You were to explain why is each 15-minute period on a clock called 1/4 hour. So here's what I wrote, and you probably have something pretty similar to mine. 1/4 is 1 out of 4 pieces. There are 4 15-minute periods in 1 hour. Each 15-minute period is 1/4 of an hour. So that is why each 15-minute period on a clock is called quarter hour. Now, if you look at your matrix, you will see that on Friday, I did not give you an assignment to do. It says we will complete pages 619 to 622 in your math packet together on my YouTube video today. So, find page 619 in your math packet. And we will begin with Math in My World. We're going to count by 5s as we trace the dotted lines. Today, boys and girls, you will see that we are learning time to 5-minute intervals. We're going to tell time to the closest 5 minutes. Remember our essential question, how do I use and tell time? Reminder, I've taught you that every time we go from one number to the next on a clock, that represents 5 minutes that have gone by. Remember, each of these ticks count as a minute. It's easiest to count by 5s. So let's jump and write 5. Jump and write 10. Writing with me. Jump, 5 minutes more, 15. Keep going. Jump, 20. Jump another 5 minutes, 25. If we jumped another 5 minutes, 30. You've already memorized that 6 is always 30 for the minutes, right? Jump again, 35. Jump again, 40. Count by 5s as you trace the dotted line. We did that. Label each jump 5, 10, 15, and so on. Draw the minute hand. Write the time on the digital clock. So we're going to draw our minute hand right through the 8. So now, boys and girls, remember I've taught you to always stop and name the hour hand first. So you find that short hour hand. It's not red in this example. Remember, I would help you to think of red meaning stop. But now we're just going to remember short and stop. So shorthand, what is it past? Ooh, it's past the 5. So our hour has to read 5. You do that first. Don't even worry about the minutes yet. Get your hour figured out first. And then we count by fives, and our minute hand we ended at 40. So the time on that digital clock should say 5:40. Let's go on to the back. Please read with me. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to move to the next number. You can skip count by fives to tell the time. And we've learned this already, right? So if you count by fives here and you get all the way to this long minute hand, you'd get to 40 on the 8. So this clock shows 40, trace this please, minutes after 9 o'clock. Write the time another way. Here's your helpful hint. Remember, each one of these marks are called ticks, and they each count as 1 minute. That's why we count by fives. So another way to write this is stop and name the hour. It's past the 9, so we put the 9 first. Then you count the minutes, and you get 40. Let's do some of those together. And this is really nice because they use the colored hand. So remember, we find the red and we stop and name the number. So ready? Find the red hand. There it is. Stop. Name the number, everybody. What is it? What's it past? 12. So write your 12. Now you're ready to count your minutes. And remember, when we count our minutes, the 12 is always 0, 0. So we don't say anything on the 12. We just go right to the 1 and say 5. Say it with me. 5, 10, 15, 20. So that clock shows 12:20. Number 2. Stop and name the minute hand. Now this is a little bit tricky. Remember, as it gets closer to the next hour approaching, this hour hand gets closer to the next hour. But look, if it was longer, it's not on the 4 yet, is it? It's close, but it's not on it yet. So we still have to stop and say 3. Those are the trickiest ones when you're telling time, when that hour hand is almost on the next hour. Ready to count by fives? Point to the 1 and say 5. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Anytime the minute hand is on the 11, it is 55 minutes past the hour. Pretty soon you'll get so good you'll look at it and go, 55. You won't even have to count. Number 3, remember, we're going to find the minute hand and the hour hand and stop because it's red. Stop. What is it past? The 4. So stop and name the hour 4. Count your minutes. Point to the 1 and say 5. Ready? Do it with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It's a common mistake for second graders to go to the 12 and say 5, but you can't because remember the 12 is always 0, 0. 12 is always o'clock. And 5 minutes have not gone by until you're at the 1. So you have to get in the habit of going to the 1 and say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, we're working well together here. Tell what time is shown. Draw the minute hand to show the time. Read this, everyone. 10:35. So they've already put that hour hand past the 10. So if we're going to do the minute hand, where do we say 5? On the 1, right? Ready? We want to get to 35. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. My minute hand has to go right through the number 7. And there's your arrows. Now it says, explain how you skip count by fives to tell time. Well, we skip count by fives because we know 5 minutes go by between each number on the clock because each one of those little marks represents 1 minute, and that's 5 total. Good. Wow. We're already ready for the second page. It's great working together, isn't it? Okay, now use your smarts. Tell what time is shown. I'm going to pause, and I want you to go ahead and try to figure out what time this clock says and write it right here. Put what you think, and if you get it wrong, it's okay. Name the short hour first. Don't put 4. It's not 4 yet. did you put this? Okay, now count by 5. Start at the 1. Okay, you should have made it to 50. That clock says 3:50. Okay, try this one by yourself. If we were in school, that's what I would have you do. Just try it. Stop and name the short hour first. Okay, I'm going to give you a hint. Now count your minutes. You should have written 15. You start at the 1, 5, 10, 15. See, this is independent practice, so I want you to try it on your own. Okay, try the next one. Stop and name the short hour hand first. It's red to tell you to stop and name that first. Did you write a 2? If you accidentally wrote 3, that's a common mistake, but notice it's not on the 3 yet. It's close, but not there yet. Now count your minutes by 5s. 5, 10. You should have written 2:45. Remember, another name for that would be 2:45. Okay, tell what time is shown. Draw the hands to show the time. Okay, that's easy. Everyone read with me. 5:45. Okay, so I want us to draw the minute hand first. We're going to draw the 45 first. Do you remember which number on here is 45? If you remember, go ahead and draw it. If you don't, count with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Go right through the number. There you did your minute hand first. Now our hour hand has to be past the 5. And think about it. It's only 15 minutes away from 6. So that hour hand isn't going to be on the 6 yet, but it's going to be pretty close. Next one, 12:35. Let's draw the minute hand first. Put it where you think it should be. If you make a mistake, you can erase. That's fine. That's why there are erasers on the ends of our pencils. Okay, you should have put your minute hand, the long minute hand, right through the number 7. Remember, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And the 12, well, look at, it's just a little bit past halfway to 1, so we're going to put it kind of right in between the 12 and the 1 for the hour hand. Another one, 9:50. Let's do the minute hand first. Let's count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 50 is always 10. Right through the number. Your hour hand, just think, it's only 10 minutes away from being 10 o'clock. So this hour hand is going to be right next to the minute hand, about like that. Okay, I hope I'm not going too fast. Pause the video if you need to. That's fine. Okay, 2:20. Go ahead and put your hands where you think they go. Okay, you should have drawn the minute hand on the 4 and the hour hand past the 2. 2:20. Try 8:45 on your own. Like I said, pause the video if I'm going too fast. You should have counted by 5s, put the long minute hand on the 9, and that short hour hand past the 8, almost to the 9 because it's only 15 minutes before 9 o'clock. One more, 1:25. Try that one on your own. Remember, think of 25. Draw your long minute hand first. Five, 10, 15, 20, 25. Did you draw it right through the 5? I hope so. Short hour hand. About halfway between the 1 and the 2 because this minute hand is almost halfway around. Okay, you are rocking it, second grade. Let's go on to the back. If the hour hand is close to the 11 and the minute hand is pointing to the 10, what time is it? So I'm going to use the clock to help me. Okay, that hour hand is getting close to the 11. The minute hand is pointing to the 10. Okay, now it's close to the 11. It's not quite on it yet. So we know our hour still has to be 10. So let's all put 10 there. Now, see the blue minute hand? What's the blue number? 50. So that answer is 10:50. Number 15. A group of people get on an amusement park ride every 5 minutes. It is now 3 o'clock. There are 7 groups ahead of Alyssa and her family. What time will her family go on the ride? So I think we'll use a clock and just do this together. Okay, so it's now 3 o'clock. So a group of people get on an amusement park ride every 5 minutes. So the first group gets on at 3 o'clock. So that's group 1. And remember, there's 7 groups ahead of her. So she's actually the 8th group. So there's group 1. I'm going to move the clock 5 minutes. Group 2. Group 3. Group 4 is on at 5:15. Group 5. Group 6. Group 7. Those are the 7 groups ahead of her, but then she has to wait. Group 8. So she's going to get on at 3:35. And here's a brain builder. Will gets to the theater at 7 o'clock. It takes 20 minutes to get snacks and 5 minutes to find a seat. What time was Will ready to watch the movie? We'll act that out on the clock, okay? So there he is at 7 o'clock. He's at the theater. It's going to take him 20 minutes to get snacks. That must have been a long snack line. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So now it is 7:20. But then it says he's got to look for his seat. He must be kind of picky about where he's going to sit. So 5 more minutes go by. So now he's ready to watch the movie at 7:25. I'm guessing that movie probably starts at 7:30. And for the right math, here's what we're going to do today. You've been watching my video for a long time. So for today, I'm going to let you do something we did sometimes in school. We're going to cross out the right math and just skip that for today. And that's okay because you are getting to be excellent time tellers. Second grade, have a wonderful weekend. Get caught up on your work. Enjoy time with your family. Life is good. It's going to get even better. And tune into my video again on Tuesday.